What if the biggest thing standing between you and the life you want isn't your circumstances, but the thoughts you keep believing? One thought can destroy your confidence, another can give you the courage to begin again. Learn to control the way you think, and you may discover that changing your life starts much closer to home than you ever imagined. Most people spend their lives trying to change what is happening around them, while rarely examining what is happening inside them. They want different people, different circumstances, more money, more recognition, fewer problems, and a smoother path. But even when circumstances improve, an undisciplined mind can find something new to worry about. The deeper transformation begins when you learn to observe your thoughts instead of automatically obeying them. Stoic philosophy gives us a framework for separating what we control from what we don't, while the broader tradition of personal development reminds us that our repeated thoughts influence our attention, choices, habits, and actions. This video explores how changing your relationship with your thoughts can change the way you experience your relationships. Failures, criticism, rejection, uncertainty, and personal goals, and ultimately change the direction of your life. There is a strange moment that happens inside your mind long before your life begins to change. It happens when you realize that the problem controlling your life may not be the people around you, your circumstances, your past, or even your failures. It may be the thoughts you keep repeating when nobody else is listening. A single thought can change your entire day. You wake up feeling fine, remember something someone said to you yesterday, and suddenly your mood changes. You receive a short text from someone you care about and immediately assume they're angry. You make one mistake at work and start telling yourself that you're not good enough. Someone succeeds before you do, and your mind quietly whispers that you're falling behind. Nothing outside of you has necessarily changed, yet your entire emotional world has shifted. This is the power of thought. And if you never learn to examine your thoughts, you may spend years reacting to stories your own mind created. Imagine two people experiencing exactly the same setback. They lose an opportunity. The first person thinks, "This proves I'm a failure. Nothing ever works for me." The second person thinks, "This hurts, but what can I learn from it, and what can I do next?" The event is the same, the circumstances are the same, but the meaning they give to the event is completely different, and that difference can eventually create two completely different lives. This is where the ancient wisdom of Stoicism becomes incredibly relevant to modern life. Epictetus taught that people are often disturbed not simply by events, but by the judgments they make about those events. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself to examine his impressions before allowing them to control his actions. Seneca also emphasized the danger of allowing the mind to turn possibilities into unnecessary suffering. The lesson is not that you should pretend everything is positive. It is not about forcing yourself to smile when life is difficult. It is about becoming aware of the thoughts you automatically accept as truth, because not every thought deserves your belief. Think about how often your mind predicts disaster. Someone doesn't answer your message, and your mind immediately creates the story. Maybe they're upset with me, maybe they don't care anymore, maybe I've done something wrong. Within minutes, you've emotionally experienced an entire situation that may not even exist. This is how overthinking steals peace. It takes an uncertain event and fills the empty spaces with fear. And the stronger response is to pause and ask, what do I actually know? You know they haven't replied. That's a fact. You don't know why. Everything beyond that may be an assumption. That small distinction can save you from hours of unnecessary anxiety. Mastering your thoughts doesn't mean controlling every thought that enters your mind. That would be impossible. Thoughts appear, memories appear, fears appear, old insecurities appear. What you can control is whether you automatically follow them. Media thought can knock on the door without being invited inside. You can notice it, you can examine it, and you can decide whether it deserves your attention. This becomes especially important when someone criticizes you. Criticism can activate something deep inside us. One sentence from another person can suddenly confirm an insecurity we've carried for years. Someone says, "You're not very good at this," and instead of evaluating the statement objectively, your mind turns it into, "I'm not good enough." And notice what happened. One person's opinion became a definition of your identity. That is where your power disappears. Dem dia. A disciplined mind learns to separate information from identity. Maybe the criticism contains something useful. Maybe it doesn't. Either way, you don't have to turn one comment into a verdict about your entire worth. Blame. The same principle applies to rejection. When someone rejects you, your mind may immediately translate rejection into inadequacy. They didn't choose me, therefore I'm not valuable. But rejection only tells you that one person, one opportunity, or one situation didn't align with you at that particular moment. It does not tell you the full story of your potential. This is one reason self-respect is so closely connected to mental discipline. If your opinion of yourself changes every time someone else changes their opinion of you, your emotional stability will always be in someone else's hands. You will become dependent on approval. Praise will make you feel powerful. Criticism will make you feel worthless. Attention will make you feel secure. Silence will make you panic. But when you develop control over your thoughts, something changes. You begin to understand that your value does not rise and fall according to the moods of other people. You can listen without surrendering your identity. You can accept criticism without destroying yourself. You can appreciate praise without becoming dependent on it. You can experience rejection without believing that you have been rejected by life itself. This is mental strength. There is another trap that quietly controls millions of people replaying the past. Tensia. You remember an embarrassing conversation from 5 years ago. You remember a mistake. You remember something you should have said differently. Then your mind replays the scene again and again, as if another replay might somehow change the ending. But the past cannot be edited through mental repetition. You can learn from it. You can take responsibility for it. You can apologize when necessary. You can make better choices because of it. But you cannot live effectively while continuously trying to rewrite something that has already happened. Marcus Aurelius understood the importance of returning attention to the present. The past can teach you, but it should not become the place where you permanently live. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me act better, or is it simply hurting me again? That question can change your relationship with your own mind, because there is a difference between reflection and rumination. Reflection produces understanding. Rumination produces exhaustion. Reflection asks, what can I learn? Rumination asks, why did this happen to me? Reflection searches for the next step. Rumination keeps staring at the closed door. And if you want your life to change, you have to become careful about which questions you repeatedly ask yourself. Your mind follows the questions you give it. If you constantly ask, why am I always unlucky? Your brain will search for evidence that you're unlucky. If you ask, what can I control today? You begin looking for opportunities to act. If you ask, why does nobody respect me? You may become obsessed with other people's behavior. If you ask, how can I carry myself with more self-respect? You shift your attention toward your own choices. The quality of your questions influences the quality of your attention. And attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Where your attention goes, your emotional energy follows. Be as if you spend hours watching people who make you angry, comparing yourself to people who appear more successful, reading comments designed to provoke you, and replaying conversations that hurt you. Don't be surprised when your mind feels exhausted. Poland, you are feeding it something every day. This doesn't mean you should isolate yourself from the world. It means you should become selective. A strong mind is not a mind that never encounters negativity. It is a mind that knows what not to carry. Someone can be angry around you without you becoming angry. Bundius, someone can be insecure around you without you becoming insecure. Deigned, someone can be chaotic around you without you surrendering your peace to their chaos. That is emotional independence. And emotional independence becomes even more powerful in relationships. Imagine that someone you love suddenly becomes distant. Your old pattern might be to chase them. You send another message, then another. You ask what happened. You start analyzing every word they said. You become desperate for reassurance. But what if you paused? Blends. What if you allowed yourself to feel the discomfort without immediately obeying it? You could still communicate. You could still ask a reasonable question. You could still care deeply. But you would no longer be acting from panic. You would be responding from clarity. That difference can transform relationships. Aliens people often think emotional control means not caring. It doesn't. It means caring without losing yourself. You can love someone and still maintain boundaries. Cleaned, you can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to your life. Bend, you can miss someone without begging them to return. You can disagree without becoming disrespectful. Pelnges, you can walk away without needing revenge. Bend, your thoughts determine the meaning you attach to these experiences, and that meaning influences your behavior. Belenda, this is why controlling your thoughts is not merely a motivational idea. It is a daily practice of choosing what deserves your mental energy. You will still have negative thoughts. Bammed, you will still feel fear. You will still experience anger. You will still have moments when doubt becomes loud. Cham, the goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. When you notice a negative thought, don't immediately fight it. Examine it. Ask, is this fact or interpretation? Ask, is this within my control? Ask, what response would make me respect myself tomorrow? That final question is especially powerful. Bane, because many decisions feel good for 5 seconds and terrible for 5 days. You send the angry message. You feel relief, then you regret it, you insult someone, you feel powerful. Tambient. Then you realize you lowered yourself to their level. You quit because you're frustrated. Shunned. Then later you wonder what would have happened if you had stayed disciplined. The stronger version of you learns to think beyond the immediate emotion. Instead of asking, what do I feel like doing right now? Ask, what action serves the person I want to become? Blind. That is how identity changes. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you're teaching yourself something. Blind. Every time you remain calm instead of exploding, you're teaching yourself that you are capable of self-control. Meand. Every time you continue working despite temporary failure, you're teaching yourself that setbacks do not command your future. Every time you stop chasing approval, you're teaching yourself that your self-respect has value. Eventually, these choices become character, and character shapes your life. Emdia, this is where the message associated with Napoleon Hill's philosophy becomes useful as well. The mind is not merely a passive place where thoughts happen. The thoughts you repeatedly cultivate can influence your focus, expectations, decisions, habits, and actions. Boolean, but don't misunderstand this as magical thinking. Changing your thoughts doesn't mean the universe owes you success. Lons, it means changing your thoughts can change the way you interpret challenges, the actions you take, the habits you build, and the persistence you bring to your goals. Len, a person who believes every failure is permanent, behaves differently from someone who sees failure as information. Gender, person who believes they are powerless, behaves differently from someone who asks what they can control. Gender, person who believes they must be liked by everyone, behaves differently from someone who values integrity over approval. The external world may not change overnight, but your relationship with that world can change immediately. And sometimes that is where the real transformation begins. You don't need a completely new life tomorrow. Plunged, you need a different way of meeting the life you already have. The argument becomes a chance to practice patience. The rejection becomes a chance to strengthen self-respect. The failure becomes a chance to improve. The criticism becomes a chance to separate useful information from unnecessary judgment. The lonely season becomes a chance to discover who you are without constant validation. The difficult person becomes a test of your emotional discipline. Suddenly, life itself becomes your training ground. This is one of the most powerful ideas in Stoicism. You don't need perfect circumstances to practice wisdom. You practice wisdom because circumstances are imperfect. Anyone can be calm when everything goes their way. The real test is what happens inside you when it doesn't. So the next time your mind starts creating a disaster, pause. Don't believe everything immediately. The next time someone insults you, pause. Don't hand them control of your behavior. The next time you fail, pause. Don't turn an event into an identity. The next time you feel rejected, pause. Don't confuse someone else's decision with your worth. The next time you find yourself comparing your life to someone else's, pause. Their timeline is not your command. And the next time you catch yourself saying, I can't change this, ask a better question. What part of this can I influence? That question returns power to you. Your life will never be completely free from uncertainty, disappointment, loss, criticism, or difficult people. No philosophy can remove those things from existence, but you can become the kind of person who meets them differently. You can become slower to anger, quicker to reflect, harder to manipulate, less dependent on approval, more disciplined in your attention, more careful with your words, more patient with your progress. And more committed to the person you are becoming. Eventually, you may look back and realize that the biggest change wasn't that your circumstances suddenly became perfect. It was that the same circumstances no longer controlled you in the same way. The person who once destroyed your peace could no longer do it. The rejection that once broke you became something you could accept. The criticism that once consumed you became something you could evaluate calmly. The failure that once made you quit became a lesson that made you stronger. That is what happens when you stop allowing every thought to become a command. You begin to understand that your mind is something you must train, not once, not for 7 days. Every day. Your thoughts become your mental. And just as you would care about the environment where you live, you should care about the environment you create inside your own mind. Be careful what you repeatedly tell yourself. Be careful what you repeatedly watch. Be careful what you repeatedly focus on. Be careful which voices you allow to become your inner voice. Because eventually repetition becomes belief. Belief influences behavior. Behavior becomes habit, and habits shape the direction of your life. So don't wait for your circumstances to give you permission to become peaceful. Don't wait for everyone to understand you. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Don't wait until fear disappears. Start with the thought in front of you. Examine it, challenge it, replace what is destructive with what is useful. tend to then act, because a better life isn't created only by what happens to you. It is also created by how you interpret what happens, what you choose to focus on, and what you decide to do next. Your mind may have learned certain patterns over the years, but you are not obligated to obey every pattern forever. Means you can learn a new response, you can build a new habit, you can develop a calmer mind. You can become more disciplined, you can become more difficult to manipulate, you can become more comfortable with silence, uncertainty, rejection, and temporary failure. And little by little, the person you see in the mirror begins to change. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because you stopped demanding that life become easy before you became strong. That is the real transformation. Landace. So when your mind tells you that you're behind, ask what you can do today. Bondest. When it tells you that everyone is against you, ask what is actually true. Pulend. When it tells you that one failure defines you, remember that an event is not an identity. Pulenja. When it tells you that you need everyone's approval, remember that your character cannot be built from other people's opinions. And when it tells you that you have no control, look again. Blends. There is always a place where your choice begins. Your thoughts may knock, your emotions may rise. Circumstances may challenge you, other people may disappoint you, but between what happens and what you do next, there is a space. Protect that space, train that space. Because inside that space is your freedom. Plenger. If this message gave you a new way to look at your mind and your life, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Daily Stoic Dose. Keep building the kind of mind that doesn't collapse under pressure, doesn't chase every opinion, and doesn't surrender its peace to every passing emotion. And when you leave this video, don't try to control the entire world. Control the next thought. Control the next decision. Control the next response. Then do it again tomorrow. Because when you learn to direct your mind instead of being dragged around by it, your circumstances may not change immediately, but the person facing those circumstances will. And when you change that person, you change everything that person is capable of building. Your mind is not your prison. It can become your greatest instrument. Train it well.